This is absolutely devastating. Seth freaking Rollins just walked into that SmackDown ring with the World Heavyweight Championship over his shoulder and did something that no reigning champion ever wants to do. He relinquished the title that represents the pinnacle of his career, the championship he fought so hard to win, in an announcement so emotional and heartbreaking that it left the entire WWE universe in tears and wondering if we just witnessed Seth Rollins compete in his final match ever. And what makes this relinquishment absolutely soul-crushing is that Seth wasn't stripped of the title due to some authority figure's decision or a storyline punishment. Seth made this decision himself after doctors told him that continuing to wrestle with his current injuries could result in permanent disability or even leave him unable to walk, forcing the man who literally defines his existence through wrestling to choose between his passion and his ability to live a normal life. I need you to drop a comment immediately if you think Seth Rollins relinquishing the World Heavyweight Championship represents the most tragic moment in modern WWE, because this isn't just about losing a title, this is about a man whose entire identity is wrapped up in being a wrestler, potentially having to give up the only thing he's ever truly loved. Seth Rollins is wrestling in every sense. It's not just his job, it's his purpose, his passion, the thing that gives his life meaning. And now he's being forced by his own broken body to walk away from it at what should be the peak of his career. This is watching someone's dream die in real time, and it's absolutely heartbreaking for everyone who understands what wrestling means to Seth. But before I break down every emotional moment of Seth's relinquishment speech where he could barely get through his words without breaking down, before I reveal the specific injuries that are forcing Seth to make this impossible choice and what doctors have told him about his chances of ever wrestling again, and before I expose the absolute chaos backstage as WWE scrambles to create an emergency tournament to crown a new champion while wrestlers are devastated over potentially losing their colleague and friend, you need to smash that like button if you believe Seth Rollins deserves better than having his career potentially end like this. Because what I'm about to tell you about Seth's medical situation, the desperate attempts to find alternative treatments that might save his career, and the outpouring of love and support from wrestlers across all companies is going to make you appreciate just how special Seth Rollins truly is. Let me take you through Seth's relinquishment speech word by word, because understanding his exact language and the emotion behind every statement reveals just how difficult and painful this decision was. Seth came out to his usual entrance music, but everything about his demeanor screamed that something was wrong. There was no cocky strut, no confident smile, no freaking energy. Seth walked slowly to the ring, World Heavyweight Championship draped over his shoulder like it weighed 1,000 pounds, and his eyes showed a mixture of sadness, frustration, and barely contained grief. When Seth entered the ring and grabbed a microphone, he stood in silence for what felt like an eternity, just staring at the championship belt in his hands. The crowd sensed something major was about to happen and went completely quiet. When Seth finally spoke, his voice was shaking with emotion. I've been a professional wrestler for over 15 years. In that time, I've held multiple championships, main event WrestleMania, traveled the world, lived out dreams I didn't even know I had. But through it all, the one constant in my life has been this. Seth held up the championship. Being a champion isn't just about holding gold, it's about being the best, about representing this company and this industry at the highest level. Seth paused, clearly struggling to maintain composure, but here's the reality that I've been avoiding for weeks now. My body is breaking down. I've worked through injuries my entire career, separated shoulders, torn muscles, concussions, you name it. I've always found a way to push through, to fight past the pain, to show up for you fans and for this company no matter what. But doctors have made it crystal clear that if I continue wrestling with my current injuries, I'm not just risking my career, I'm risking my ability to walk, to hold my daughter, to live a normal life. The crowd started chanting "Please don't go," showing their support and desperation for Seth to stay. Seth smiled sadly through tears that were now visibly streaming down his face. I appreciate that. God, I appreciate that more than you know. But I have to be honest with myself and with all of you. Standing in this ring right now, I know I cannot defend this championship at the level it deserves. I cannot give you the matches you deserve. I cannot be the champion this title needs. And that kills me. It absolutely destroys me inside to admit that. Seth then made the formal announcement, so after consulting with doctors, with my family, with WWE management, and after a lot of soul-searching, I am officially vacating the World Heavyweight Championship effective immediately. He placed the belt in the center of the ring, and the visual of that empty championship lying there was powerful and heartbreaking. This title deserves a champion who can defend it every night, who can carry it with pride and honor, who can give fans the matches they deserve. And right now, I can't be that champion. But Seth wasn't done. He had more to say that made this moment even more emotional. I want to thank every single person who supported me throughout my career. The fans who stuck with me through good times and bad, through heel turns and face turns, through victories and defeats. You've made this journey incredible. To my family, my wife Becky and my daughter, thank you for supporting me and understanding that wrestling isn't just what I do, it's who I am. And to my fellow wrestlers, past and present, thank you for being my brothers and sisters, for pushing me to be better, for making me the wrestler I am today. Then Seth dropped the bombshell that has everyone wondering about his future. As for what comes next for Seth Rollins, I honestly don't know. The doctors say I need extensive rest, possibly surgery, definitely physical therapy. They say maybe, and I emphasize maybe, after months of treatment and rehabilitation, I might be able to return to wrestling, but there are no guarantees. So I'm asking all of you, pray for me, send good vibes, whatever you believe in, because if I can find a way back to this ring, I will. But if this is truly goodbye, then thank you for everything. This has been the ride of a lifetime. Seth's voice cracked on those final words as emotion overwhelmed him. Seth started to leave the ring, but then turned back one final time, one more thing, to whoever becomes the next World Heavyweight Champion, earn it. Treat this title with the respect and dedication it deserves. Be the champion I wanted to be but can no longer be. And know that whenever I watch you carry that championship, I'll be cheering for you while also being jealous as hell that I can't be the one doing it. That line got a bittersweet laugh from the crowd before Seth finally exited, leaving the championship behind in a powerful symbolic moment. Now let's discuss the specific injuries Seth is dealing with because according to medical sources and reports from people close to the situation, Seth's condition is serious and genuinely career-threatening. Seth is dealing with what's being described as severe degenerative damage to his back and neck, areas that are absolutely critical for any athlete but especially for wrestlers who take constant impact. The primary issue is herniated discs in Seth's cervical spine, neck region, that are putting pressure on nerve roots. This condition causes not just pain but weakness, numbness, and loss of function in his arms and hands. Seth has reportedly been dropping things randomly because his grip strength is compromised, and he's experiencing tingling sensations that indicate nerve damage. This is exactly the type of injury that ended Edge's career the first time and forced Daniel Bryan into temporary retirement. Seth also has spinal stenosis, a narrowing of the spinal canal that puts pressure on the spinal cord itself. This condition is degenerative, meaning it gets progressively worse over time, and it's incredibly dangerous for wrestlers because any wrong bump or impact could result in paralysis. The fact that Seth has been wrestling with this condition shows either incredible courage or incredible stupidity, depending on your perspective. In addition to the spine issues, Seth has severe damage to both shoulders from years of taking high-impact moves and delivering his signature offense. His rotator cuffs are apparently torn to the point where doctors are amazed Seth can even lift his arms above his head. Seth has been wrestling through this pain for months, taking injections and pain medication just to be able to perform. The medical prognosis is concerning at best. Doctors have told Seth that he needs immediate surgery on his neck to address the herniated discs before they cause permanent nerve damage. The shoulder injuries also require surgical intervention. Recovery from these procedures would take at minimum 6 to 9 months, and that's just to get Seth to a point where he can function normally in daily life. Getting cleared to wrestle again would require additional months of training and conditioning. But here's the worst part: even with successful surgeries and optimal recovery, there's no guarantee Seth would be cleared to wrestle again. The degenerative nature of his spinal condition means that returning to wrestling could accelerate the damage and put him right back in the same situation within months or years. Some doctors have apparently recommended that Seth retire permanently rather than risk further damage that could leave him wheelchair-bound or worse. Let me reveal some heartbreaking details about the backstage reaction to Seth's announcement because according to multiple sources, there wasn't a dry eye in the locker room when Seth made his relinquishment official. Wrestlers who were watching on monitors were visibly emotional, with several breaking down in tears at the realization that they might be losing not just a colleague but a friend and mentor. Kevin Owens was reportedly inconsolable, having to be comforted by other wrestlers. KO and Seth have been best friends for years, and the thought of Seth potentially never wrestling again devastated Kevin. Sources say KO tried to visit Seth after the announcement, but Seth had already left the arena, not wanting to face anyone in his emotional state. Becky Lynch was backstage during Seth's announcement, watching with other wrestlers, and sources say she was crying throughout the entire speech. Despite keeping their professional and personal lives separate, seeing her husband forced to give up his passion was obviously devastating for Becky. She reportedly went directly to Seth after he came through the curtain, and they embraced for several minutes while both cried. Triple H was visibly affected by Seth's announcement according to people who saw him backstage. Hunter has a personal relationship with Seth and understands better than most what it means to have your body force you away from wrestling. Hunter dealt with his own career-ending heart issues, so he knows the grief and frustration Seth is experiencing. Triple H reportedly told staff that WWE would support Seth through whatever comes next, whether that's recovery and return or transition to a non-wrestling role. Even wrestlers from other companies reached out to express support. Jon Moxley, Dean Ambrose, posted on social media, "Seth, you're my brother and always will be. The Shield bond never breaks. Whatever you need, whenever you need it, I'm here." That message from Moxley, despite them working for different companies, shows the genuine love and respect Seth has earned. CM Punk, who recently returned to WWE, apparently went to Triple H's office to express that he wants to help Seth in any way possible. Punk and Seth have had their differences over the years, but Punk respects Seth's talent and dedication. Punk allegedly told Hunter, "If there's any way I can help Seth through this, whether it's advice, connections to doctors, or just being someone to talk to, count me in." Now let's discuss the tournament WWE is creating to crown a new World Heavyweight Champion, because with Seth's unexpected relinquishment, WWE had zero preparation for this vacancy. According to sources, Triple H called an emergency creative meeting immediately after Seth's announcement to figure out how to handle the championship situation. The leading proposal is an 8-man tournament over the next 3 weeks, culminating at the next premium live event. This tournament would feature WWE's top talent competing in a single elimination format, with the winner being crowned the new World Heavyweight Champion. The tournament format creates immediate compelling television while also ensuring the new champion feels earned rather than just being handed the title. Potential participants being discussed include Cody Rhodes, if he's not holding another championship, Drew McIntyre, Finn Balor, Damian Priest, Gunther, LA Knight, Shinsuke Nakamura, and possibly a surprise entrant like a returning legend or an NXT call-up. Each of these wrestlers has a legitimate claim to championship consideration and would bring something unique to the role. The tournament matches would be designed to showcase different wrestling styles and create potential future feuds. First-round matchups could pair technical wrestlers against power wrestlers, high flyers against brawlers, creating varied and interesting matches that appeal to different segments of the audience. Winners advance to semifinals and then a final match that could potentially main event the premium live event. There's also discussion about whether to involve Roman Reigns in this tournament or whether his status as the top star means he should be positioned above it, potentially challenging whoever wins the tournament later. Roman's involvement is complicated because while he's arguably WWE's biggest star, inserting him into everything can sometimes diminish other wrestlers' opportunities to shine. WWE is also considering doing something special with the tournament final as a tribute to Seth. Ideas include having Seth present the championship to the winner, or dedicating the match to Seth's legacy, or incorporating Seth's signature elements into the presentation. These touches would honor Seth's contribution while transitioning to the new champion. Let me share some powerful fan reactions because the WWE Universe has been overwhelmingly supportive of Seth Rollins and devastated by his announcement. Social media was flooded with messages of love, support, and gratitude for everything Seth has given to wrestling. The hashtags #ThankYouSeth and #GetWellSoonSeth trend worldwide for hours after the announcement. Fans have been sharing their favorite Seth Rollins moments, from his Shield debut, to his WrestleMania main events, to his incredible matches against legends and young stars alike. People are celebrating Seth's career while also expressing hope that he can recover and return. The emotional investment fans have in Seth's well-being shows how effectively he's connected with audiences throughout his career. Many fans are expressing anger at WWE for working Seth too hard and contributing to his injuries through an exhausting schedule. While some of this criticism is fair, it's also true that Seth is someone who hates taking time off and always volunteers for extra dates and appearances. Seth's work ethic is both his greatest strength and his biggest weakness. There's a beautiful unity happening where fans of all different wrestling companies are coming together to support Seth. AEW fans, NJPW fans, Impact fans, everyone in the wrestling community recognizes Seth's talent and is hoping for his recovery. This shows that despite the tribalism that often divides wrestling fandom, there are moments where everyone can agree that certain wrestlers transcend company loyalty. Some fans have started fundraising initiatives to support research into treatments for the types of injuries Seth is dealing with. While Seth doesn't need financial support, these fans want to help find solutions that could benefit not just Seth but all wrestlers dealing with similar injuries. It's a heartwarming demonstration of how much people care. Now let's talk about alternative treatments that Seth might explore in his attempt to return to wrestling. According to sources close to Seth, he's not ready to accept that his career is over and is actively researching cutting-edge medical treatments that might allow him to wrestle again safely. One option being explored is stem cell therapy, a regenerative treatment that uses the body's own cells to repair damaged tissue. Some athletes have had success using stem cell treatments for spinal and joint injuries, and while the science is still evolving, it represents a potential path to healing that didn't exist years ago. Seth is apparently consulting with specialists about whether he's a candidate for this type of treatment. Another possibility is advanced surgical techniques that have been developed specifically for athletes. There are neurosurgeons who specialize in minimally invasive spinal procedures that can address disc issues while minimizing damage to surrounding tissues. These procedures have shorter recovery times and better outcomes than traditional spinal surgery, potentially giving Seth a better chance of returning to wrestling. Seth is also reportedly looking into comprehensive rehabilitation programs that have helped other athletes return from seemingly career-ending injuries. These programs combine physical therapy, strength training, mobility work, and psychological support to help athletes not just recover but return better than they were before. Edge's return after his retirement was partly due to advances in these types of rehabilitation programs. There's even discussion about Seth potentially changing his in-ring style to be less physically demanding if he does return. Seth could work a style that protects his neck and back by avoiding certain high-risk moves while still being effective and entertaining. Many wrestlers have successfully extended their careers by adapting their style to accommodate their body's limitations. The reality is that Seth's return depends on multiple factors: how his body responds to treatment, whether medical advances provide new options, and whether doctors can confidently clear him without putting his long-term health at serious risk. Seth has always been willing to take risks for wrestling, but he also has a family to think about now, which adds complexity to any decision about returning. Let me address the elephant in the room: what does Seth do if he can't wrestle again? Fortunately, Seth has multiple options for staying involved in wrestling without being an active in-ring competitor. Seth's intelligence, charisma, and deep understanding of the business make him valuable in numerous roles. Seth as a commentator would be fascinating because he can articulate the psychology and strategy of matches better than most. Seth's personality would translate well to commentary, though it might be emotionally difficult for him to watch others do what he can no longer do. WWE would absolutely hire Seth as a commentator if that's the path he wanted to pursue. Seth as a producer or agent helping younger wrestlers plan and structure their matches would be incredibly valuable. Seth has worked with virtually everyone and has experience in every type of match and storyline. His knowledge could help the next generation develop faster and avoid some of the mistakes he made. Many retired wrestlers have found fulfillment in producer roles. There's potential for Seth to become an on-screen authority figure, a general manager or commissioner role that keeps him on television without requiring physical performance. Seth's natural charisma and ability to generate reactions would make him effective in that capacity, though some fans might prefer he stay away from authority figure roles given how overdone that concept has been. Seth could also transition into training new wrestlers at the WWE Performance Center. Seth's technical knowledge and experience across multiple styles would make him an excellent trainer. He could help shape the next generation of WWE superstars while staying connected to the business he loves. The most interesting possibility is Seth working in WWE's creative department, helping develop storylines and characters. Seth has shown throughout his career that he understands storytelling and character development. His creative input could improve WWE's product while giving him meaningful work in wrestling. Make sure you're subscribed to WrestlingNewsCC with all notifications on, because Seth Rollins' situation is developing rapidly with new medical updates and career decisions coming constantly. This is one of the most significant stories in wrestling and we'll be covering every development. Drop a comment right now with your thoughts on Seth's relinquishment. Are you heartbroken for Seth? Do you think he'll ever wrestle again? What role should he pursue if he can't return to the ring? Who should win the tournament for the vacant championship? I want to hear your perspective. Smash that like button if you have nothing but respect and love for Seth Rollins and everything he's contributed to professional wrestling. Regardless of whether he ever wrestles again, Seth's legacy as one of the all-time greats is absolutely secure. Share this video with everyone who needs to understand the full context of why Seth vacated his title and what this means for his future. This is one of the most emotional and significant moments in recent wrestling history. This is WrestlingNewsCC bringing you coverage of Seth Rollins' heartbreaking championship relinquishment. Seth's body has finally forced him to make an impossible choice between his passion and his health. Whether Seth can recover and return or whether this is truly the end of his in-ring career remains uncertain. But one thing is absolutely clear: Seth freaking Rollins will never be forgotten. He gave us everything and we love him for it. Get well soon, Seth.